Walking through the logical order of a query, it's the from clause, then the where clause. The next step is columns and expressions. And this is where the columns are assembled together, and expressions can be used to build cool results. First off, let me say that a column can have an alias. Now, without the alias, it'll simply be the normal name of the column if it's coming from a table, but if you're using an expression, it's best to use an alias so you don't end up with a null name for the column. In this example, the expression is simply a string literal of expression. It's going to be returned as alias, and then 1, 2, 3 is a number. It's going to be returned as order. And since order is actually a keyword for SQL Server, we place square brackets around it so that it can be identified as a word that we've created and we're using as an alias, instead of maybe some other kind of word. It may run without putting the square brackets around it, but it's always a good idea, best practice, to put square brackets around keywords when you're using them as either aliases or user objects. There are several types of expressions, and here I've built a list. Control R to remove the result pane. There's numeric constants, string literals, dates, which can be placed together in several different methods. Of course, mathematical operators could be used within an expression. If you want to concatenate, you use a plus sign to concatenate strings. Although it's rarely used, there are bitwise operators for doing ands and ors in a binary way. Of course, an expression can come from just a column. We're going to talk in detail about the case expression. In a couple lessons, we'll talk about subqueries. If the subquery returns a single scalar value, you can actually have a subquery populate an expression. Then there's user-defined variables from T-SQL and global variables, which report server status. Then there are scalar functions and user-defined functions. All of these can be put together and blended together in building expressions. The first thing I want to demonstrate is addition versus concatenation. And this is because the plus sign operator is actually overloaded, so it can either add or concatenate depending upon the data types involved. Pressing F5 to execute. In this simple example, the first one is obviously addition, and the second one is concatenation. And in the concatenation, we're taking 1, 2, 3 not as a number, but because we've put quotes around it, it becomes a string of 1, 2, 3. We simply concatenate those.